The thing I learned very early on within my life, especially when I look up to certain people who are living a lifestyle that I aspire. Steve Harvey is the first person that came to mind, and there's many many others as well. But Steve Harvey was one of the first people to come to mind. Is the thing I learned very early on is the reason why I personally don't like to share too much of my dreams or my aspirations or talk about much as to why I am doing this or hey, I'm going to do this or this is what I'm doing. The reason why I don't do that is because sometimes, not everything, but sometimes, especially early on in the very beginning stages, you really don't know what it is you're doing. And I learned that if you go out and tell people, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Like when I say tell people, I'm talking about you share your idea or this dream or aspiration or this good thought, of this thing that you want to do, and you share with somebody who isn't living that lifestyle. They're unfamiliar with it. So for them, it's going to come. For them, not all, but a lot of the people that you may tell those dreams and aspirations to, or you trust with your words, they may not be able to understand you. And because they don't understand you, they may throw doubts in front of your face, or they may talk behind your back like, oh, he's not going to make it, or he's not going to do it, or we all have those dreams. We all, everybody has dreams. Everybody wants to do these things when when they are your age. But somewhere along the line they gave up. And me personally, I learned that very early on, and which is why I personally rather keep my mouth shut. I rather be patient, keep my head down, work on whatever it is I gotta work on, and when asked, regardless of who it is, if I know they have genuine connection, if I know they have genuine interest, or they have, regardless of who you are, if you ask me, hey, what is it that you're doing? 9 out of 10 times, I won't tell you. I will just say I'm working on my personal brand, or I will share what it is that I already have publicly. I will share with you what it is I put in front of you, meaning Victortheinspiration, for example, my website, for example. And I do that for a reason, personally, because again, in the very beginning stages, you really, a lot of times you really don't know what you're doing in the very, very beginning. But once, of course, you persist, you endure a lot, you learn as you go, you study, you read books, you take courses, you study from those people who are living the lifestyle that you aspire. Study those people, and eventually, at one point, you're going to be able to reflect back and see why everything happened the way it did. And most importantly, those around you are going to be so astonished to what it is you did. Like they had no idea you were doing this. Yeah, they may have somewhat of an idea to what you were doing or working on, but nobody was able to predict like you did this grand thing on a big scale. And for me, something I want to mention really quickly before I continue this video is the reason why I personally like to keep my mouth shut and I personally like to remain patient, um, and humbled within the process is because one, when you keep your mouth shut, nobody, when you keep your mouth shut, you don't share your plans with anybody, they cannot ruin it. They can't feed you self doubt. They can't feed certain negative thoughts into your mind because they don't know where to begin, right? Because you don't give them that opportunity to do so. So it protects you. When you are going through this thing, you also remain humbled because while you're, say, at a dinner table or celebrating somebody else's achievement, it keeps you humbled. Don't feel like just because you were doing this and that, don't feel like you have to one up them, or don't feel like you have to boast or brag about what you two are doing. It keeps you humbled when you are able to keep your mouth shut. You're able to just again share what it is that you want to share. I will end this conversation here by saying, oh, and something I too wanted to touch on is more so for me. The reason why I personally like to keep my head down, I like to stay quiet a lot, I like to be private with a lot of stuff I'm doing. What I'm doing is immensely good. It's for really, really good reason, with the good intentions. Not just for myself, but for a lot of people as well. And doing something on that scale, more so when you have a progressive disability such as mine, it's much harder, it's much more difficult because nobody has done what you are working towards, or not to the extent that you are going to do certain things. And because of that, you have to be very mindful with what you choose to say within the process. And I will end it there, but I will end this short conversation with one of my favorite sayings, which is, in a world full of stairs, create your own trails.